Okay, Alex, this is for you. We talked about this a little on Monday, this Spiegel article. You've captioned this European semester. Give us your take on it.
Yes, Der Spiegel was in receipt of Federica Mogherini's blueprint for the way ahead to European defence unification, and they were in receipt of that before the referendum. And there was some some British press getting wind of that, such as the Express. This is the document. Now we have it now in German translation, courtesy of Der Spiegel, but. Now, David Ellis on the Tuesday programme, that's 27th of June 2016, UK column, has already spoken about this at length, and he's very aptly said this is about the EU in the person of Mogherini going shopping, procurement, right? But there is a paragraph in the German of Der Spiegel which I think I ought to bring to people's notice, which is about the European semester. That is deliberately impenetrable jargon, but it means the regular annual round whereby the European Union member states look at each other and say, well, you're going to buy X and I'm going to buy Y, and we're not going to reduplicate effort, are we? And that is already a reality in budget, and it's now going to become a reality, according to Laura Mogherini, in defence as well. So Mr. Ellis is 100% on the money. It has been planned since before the referendum, long before, and now released in this moment of crisis, that the European Union member states, including for the foreseeable future Her Majesty's government, are going to be sucked into this European semester for defence, which means interoperability, or interdependability rather, and not being able to have all your equipment yourself.
And you wanted to just highlight the Common Security and Defence Policy.
Yes, have a look at this page on Wikipedia, the Common Security and Defence Policy. I don't know, Mike, whether you have the illustrations up, do you?
No, I don't.
That's no problem, but if you go to the Wikipedia page for CSDP, have a look at the two illustrations in that article, because they show in the map that we do not have an opt-out. Only the Danes have an opt-out within the EU on the CSDP. It is a third pillar of the European Union, which came along in 2009 with the Lisbon Treaty, and we did not opt out of it. We can't have this lazy assumption that whenever there's an opt-out, Britain is one of the opt-out states. It isn't. Gordon Brown did not opt us out of the CSDP, and we are committed to everything, and we have wound up the Western European Union, which is the European version of NATO, the Mutual Commitment to Defence, because of having signed up to CSDP at Lisbon Treaty. And if you look at the concentric circles or overlapping sets of countries diagram on that Wikipedia page, you will see that Britain is right at the heart of several of the EU and European generally military integration projects. The only one we're not in is the gendarmerie, but we're in both of the air projects, the Air Force integration and the air space control, and there's no Navy equivalent yet, but we are in the Army integration as well. So we're right at the heart of things, and that's not stopping.
Well, that's a very interesting point you make, because yesterday we recorded an edition of Insight covering exactly this. This was exactly one of the topics in that. That will be available probably early next week. And we had that specific diagram up and discussed it on the program. But the other thing that you mentioned there, Alex, was this word interdependence. And we see this is something which a lot of people miss. It's something which is fundamental to so many policies. We're seeing that not only in defence policy, but in manufacturing. I mean, if we look at Airbus as an example, Airbus is, there's no factory in any particular country which is totally independent. It is interdependent on the British to make the wings, on the Germans to do something else. We're seeing Boeing moving towards this model and moving factories away from Seattle, although they're not moving to an international model yet. But interdependence at every level of governance at the moment, it is a staggering move in that direction, isn't it?
It very much is. I've been speaking to David Ellis one-to-one since he's become regular on the UK column, and I won't go into detail, but I can confirm his trustworthiness, which just oozes out of what he says anyway, and his bearing, because it so happens that we were in the same locality 20 years ago and met some of the same evildoers and put two halves of our stories together and completed the jigsaw puzzle. So David Ellis has really got his head screwed on. And the interdependability that we're talking about, I've seen personally in living in post-Soviet Georgia, where the town just outside Tbilisi where they made the aluminium sheeting and tubing called Rustavi. That's due to central planning, deliberately made the aluminium sheeting. Okay, that's a civilian application, but it made it for the whole of the USSR. And I was there 7-8 years after the collapse of the USSR, and the Georgians were still having to sell their tubing at knockdown rates for replacement currencies to the Latvians and the Ukrainians and the Kazakhs, because they didn't have that capacity there. But there was nothing to go in these aluminium tubes, no toothpaste or whatever. That was being made in another republic. That's a civilian example. The United States has copied this model as well to make sure that no state, not even Texas, can secede. And I do notice, if you just encourage people again to look at the Wikipedia page on the CSDP, the Common Security and Defense Policy. If you look at the overlapping Venn diagram, and then if you take the trouble to look at the individual acronyms of those things that we're in, those bodies, you will see a startling number of them started as a Franco-British bilateral agreement in the mid-90s, at the late stages of the Major government. That is where the treason began. We can't blame Blair for everything.